Joey Flex is in the building. What are you saying there, Playboy? We were just talking
What's
about
going on? What up?
the
What up,
overall
guys?
just what up, what up, what up? Just the overall impression of this world's is it's crazy. Listen, this world's the amount of lifters was far bigger, the showdowns,
Yeah,
etc. Right? But we were just talking about how in the back rooms nowadays, the back rooms
mhm.
are filled with quote unquote media rooms, where
Yeah.
SBD has a media room. Go
There
ahead,
was a
Joey.
room. There was just one specific room where there was like a bunch of tables put together, and they had like it was like 11 laptops, and they were just like as the meet was happening, they were like taking the clips from the meet, taking the high definition photo, or taking the photos, touching them up, putting things together, editing things, putting out videos, editing videos. We had Powerlifting America doing their thing, which was dope. We had SPD doing their thing. We had White Lights Media, fucking sorry for the profanity. Powerlifting Motivation was there, which is just an
You
Instagram
could
page.
you could
Y-
swear, Playboy. But yeah, powerlifting Ted from Powerlifting Motivation even was
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, Powerlifting Motivation. And it was just like everybody was, dude. I would just be walking around, and the camera would just show up. A guy with the camera would be like, "Hey, Joey, what'd you think about that lift?" And I'm just like, "Oh, snap!" Like, all
Dude,
right,
e-
you know what I mean?
even the federations like Powerlifting America was holding their press conferences every single time. IPF was having they had like a spot in behind the stands. I know you've seen it to the left where they
Uh-huh.
had for real floodlights. Like it looked like a straight up where you would sit down like for any interview after television.
Dude, that
And
whole like where I was sitting, like on the right where you were, we had
yeah,
like multiple levels of just like I don't know what was going on over there, but you guys had all kinds of something. I know that the score table was there, but there was also, you know, dude, it reminds me of the UFC when they have like all the different commentators for all the different languages.
yeah. Well, we had Eurosport in the house, so
Yeah.
we off platform, off air, there was a crazy amount of digital assets being created from everything from TikTok to Instagram to YouTube to all of it. All of those digital assets were being created and shared by multiple
Outlets,
entities
yeah, yeah.
and multiple outlets, and it was amazing. And I mean, athletes are getting interviewed by multiple. It was they were maximizing the moment, and then on top of that, what Joey's talking about, we were in like our side had the IPF media team working in conjunction with Eurosport, and it was crazy, man. Like
I'm gonna
Eurosport is it was nuts, oh man. It was I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It
Eurosport
was
is like the ESPN of Europe. I'm just pulling up the IPF page right now. And if you go to the IPF page, you pull up the reels and you just look at the views. Um, even like the super heavyweight women's that last deadlift, 120,000 views. Sonita's squat, 175,000 views. The bearded warrior deadlift, 500,000 views. Anatoly squat, 200,000. Let's keep going. I want to check on Carl's because I was looking at it. Ina's
dude.
deadlift, 450,000. Leah
Okay, so
squat, 300,000. Hold on, Carl's at
Playboy,
715,000
Playboy. Look at
views.
look at one sec. There's one
Even
that's
on
well,
King of the
okay,
Lifts, even on King of the Lifts,
1.4 million for Evie Corrigan.
the
1.4
first one,
million
yeah. Oh
for
shit, I
Evie
didn't go that
Corrigan.
far.
Yeah,
Dude,
dog, it's
it's
crazy.
it this is just like it's just something that we've been I think Sheffield really sparked it. It really like set it off. Today on Twitter, yeah, you're right. Evie's deadlift 1.4 million. That's what we need.
Yeah, dog.
Today on Twitter, Russ tagged me in Sports Center reposted uh it was someone from the World Games Special Olympics who squatted 584. That's Sports Center. Okay. And Russ is like obviously going to be all over that. And then I reposted it on IG. It's ESPN. So like, dude, we're moving in the right direction. It's amazing. It literally is amazing to see that. I love that the lifters can like, Keiko can do his thing and create a fandom around him. You know what I mean? Like the fans get their favorite lifters. They really want to see them win. They're super invested in their matchups, and I just feel like it's something that we've been needing for a long time. And it was really exciting. There was a lot of matchups. That 74 kg battle, the super heavyweight women's battle was crazy. I did not expect it to go like that. Even like the 83s had me freaking out till the end. The 93s like was very interesting, right? Like it was honestly is my favorite worlds, which is like I had a lot of fun in Sweden, but this was just like I don't know if I told you, but like they're one of the days I just had to go get groceries. So I finished breakfast and I went outside by myself. Everybody was like asleep or doing interviews. And what was cool was like, so like let's say, one of my lifters like finished like competing, and then they'd be like, oh, I have an interview tomorrow, with SBD at this time, and it's like 2 hours, right? Like that was so cool.
I
It's
know.
like after the fight, you got to go do your media. But
I know.
I was roaming the streets and I see these three guys that like recognize me, and then they were from Team Spain and they were really, really nice, and they were just like, do you guys want to get they're like, do you want to get some beers? And I was like, I mean, I'll get a Diet Coke or something, but let's go. And we just like we were talking, we got some food, and then like they walked me, to where I was. And it was just one of those things where and there was another occasion where I met people from Spain, and they were just saying Spain is great. Like Spain was great, Sweden was great, Belgian boys were great. Um, and it's just only at Worlds do you get that. Like where you see everybody. I'm sure you get the same thing. Like you see our community that we follow online, and we get to see them in person, and it's like such a great experience to just feel like I don't know, like I felt very like the path that I chose in life was the correct one. If we can impact all these people with what we're doing. It was just it was such a good experience. And I had some conversations with like I guess you call it the brass, right? The brass, right? The higher ups that really just made me feel like the direction that we're going is correct. They understand what needs to be done. Things have to be done the right way, and I just felt it was great, man. It was a great feeling. It makes me wonder, like, is this like I don't know if it's because I have a much more significant like footprint now or what, but I feel like, even the meetings that I had, the things that we talk about in terms of like where we'd like to be in the next couple years. I mean, it's almost like when you have like a group of friends and you have like one friend who's just kind of like complacent. They work their 9 to 5, they drink, and that's pretty much it. They don't really have any goals. And then you have another friend who's like really ambitious, and like when you're around them, you just want to be better. And I feel like that's how I felt. I felt like I was just with someone who like I mean at the event, it just felt like I was with people that had goals. They had a place that they wanted to go. Um, and I think that's gonna raise the bar in the sport. And I think it takes a tremendous amount of energy. Tons of people had to be on the same page, and it's not an easy thing to have a global footprint. And I think back to the conversation I had with some of my people that did this meet that have been doing, worlds, right? And and they weren't sure which direction they wanted to go. And I'm just happy that they went this way because I see how their life has changed. And I would
Dude,
love for, go ahead, go ahead.
uh, uh, I I was just mentioning this to someone else. Let's use Delaney Wallace as example
Mhm.
real quick. So Delaney Wallace was with the USAPL, came in second to Russell Orhi, and for a second there was focusing on Russell Orhi and was like, I need to focus down
Mhm.
this path, and I got to go the Russell Orhi route and face Russell if I'm going to establish myself, etc. Now, 2 years later, ended up deciding, I'm going to blaze my own trail and I'm not following another person. Let's see what happens when I just go my own path. Now that we look back, you look at IPF Worlds viewership in 3 days was over 100,000. For US Meganats, that was a year old, was like the highest one of their streams was like 24,000. 4 times that in 3 days. You look at Sheffield, you're like 500,000 views in like a week. And
Yeah.
now Delaney's a two-time world champion, 2 times going to be at Sheffield. millions of people watched him on Eurosport. All the digital assets that have been created with him, with all of these different interviews from all the different entities we just mentioned, and people all over the world now know who Delaney Wallace is.
Yeah,
And if
it's
he had stayed the
that's so
USAPL
true.
route, if he went the USAPL, he'd just be another guy beneath Russ. It wouldn't have. It's like, dude, carve your own path, take
And
a
that
risk.
and I will. I mean, that was like. I mean, I don't want to like take credit for anything in that regard but I do remember having the conversation with him, and I was really trying to stress this thing is gonna blow up. Russ wants to do that. He has his reasons. There's an opportunity for you here. Sleep on it and let me know. And then the next day he's like, "All right, Joey, I'll trust you." And he was not the only one. Jesus was a little bit on the fence too. Amanda and Keiko were like 100%. Um, they were already 100% committed. Like, okay, we're gonna go this route. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else.
Dude, okay,
Um,
let's put a pin for one second. Let's
Mikey
stay for 1
wanted.
second.
Go ahead, go ahead. No, I'll just say Mikey wanted world champion. He didn't give a shit where. He just said, "I want to be a
Yeah.
world champion," and there's only one way to do that.
Jesus. My God, man. Can you
Yeah, yeah,
imagine
that was
Jesus
crazy.
didn't go? Dude, can you imagine
Yeah,
now if he
yeah,
stayed USAPL and was doing Mega
yeah.
Nats and shit? It's like, dog, you destroyed Sheffield and literally popped up on everybody's radar. I've told
Yeah.
people before, Sheffield got so huge. I was listening to MMA podcasts. They're nothing to do with powerlifting, full on MMA podcasts. And they're like, did you hear about that guy, Jesus Olivares? He's at some
Holy
event called
shit.
Sheffield. Yes,
Seriously?
yes, yes. And
That's
this is
dope.
what happens when these because they're creating so many digital assets attached to it. Like because
Yeah.
SPD is a machine now.
Yeah.
IPF now, their machines now pumping these out. And then Sheffield itself had so many views and so much hype around it. You blow up Sheffield, and all of a sudden, this is what happens. And he's on Eurosport. That was live streamed on Eurosport for millions of people to
Yeah.
watch. So people are going to see it. And people are
Yeah.
like, did you see that guy squat 1,000 pounds
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever the
yeah, yeah.
hell?
And I knew like I was like, all right, Jesus, regardless of how we feel, we gotta at least get the 1,000 for the,
100,
just get it for the TV, get it for the views or whatever. But
100%.
it's not a super hard thing for him. And I don't want to just like Ryan is comparing to, Mega Nats and stuff like that. We don't want to like shit on anyone. We're just saying that the platform that the IPF and, SPD and White Lights Media and what's the other one? The Instagram pages, like they're all they get it, and the platform that they're creating is really help. It's going to help the lifters create a name for themselves. And I think, for example, you could have a guy who's like kind of unknown. You put him in the UFC, he keeps winning. He gets known now through that platform. He doesn't really have to talk too much. He doesn't really have to try to sell it too much. Of course, it helps, but the UFC has become so big now that if you become champion, I mean, that's going to be very life changing. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things that like, look at young Cali or
Yeah,
Carl, whatever you want.
right.
Look at young Cali, right? He he is now an IPF world champion as a junior. Whatever happens from this moment forward, he will always have that.
Right.
He can go to any resume, anyone he's having a conversation with, if a newspaper interviews him, anyone on the street, whatever, he will always be able to say, I was an open IPF world champion. And that is something that will stay with you forever. It doesn't go away. And it is gold. It is like you know what I'm saying? It's like it is something to be a world champion in anything. It's hard to describe what it means, and it makes me sad that um when I was telling people, guys, like this is coming, yeah, a lot of my people listen, but they are not. It's not like all of them were ready to do it, right? You have to be at that level. But if you do, even if you're top three, you never know what can happen. You literally don't
Mm.
know what can happen. Somebody can mess up, somebody can bomb out. You might get second, somebody misses a lift, the second place beats them, and then, maybe they bomb or something, and then you get second, and then you end up going to Worlds because, they can take two in one weight class, and now you have an opportunity and like anything happen and then you get enough time to train. Maybe you were on a, upward trajectory where the other guy was like kind of like leveling off and then you win and now like Keiko's following went from like 30, 40,000 to like it's 80,000 now from Sheffield to now. Jesus is following like around what I had to 120,000. He's, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just everybody who did that meet, Delaney, like everybody who did that Sheffield meet, their following exploded. And I want people to lift where they're happy. But if you're gonna do something and you want to go all the way, I mean, this is currently like this is where you have to be at. And of course, nothing is perfect. Um, but they're working on it. And dude, we are literally, it feels like everything is there to make a case for the Olympics. Everything is there. Like once the big views are there, that's how you get them to say, okay, this is a global phenomenon. We already have the Special Olympics. I believe the IPF will be able to go to the IOC and say, look at this product that we've created. Look at the production. Look at the numbers it's doing on social media because that's what you're gonna have to do. Where you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I mean, I would believe that the IOC they got to sell commercials, right?
Right.
On it when it's playing. I would imagine that's a big part of it. You can say this is what we're doing on social media. These are the stars that are competing. They all have followings. They all this. They all that. We would love to participate, whatever. And then once they get that green light, man,
Well,
that's
that's a
it.
wrap, son.
That's it.
But
That's it.
but that's a wrap, son.
Yeah,
But it, it,
it's not even shit. I don't even know what else to say.
we'll see when a major thing, and obviously this announcement came out at this Worlds as well, but we all seen it coming, was the World Games going raw as well. And that is
2025.
can you imagine in 2025? And can you imagine what Jesus Olivares and everyone are like Keiko, the 93s, all of those battles that happen at like Sheffield takes place at the World Games now, though. And what that's going to do to the rest of the sporting world. And that's when these sports fans who are just tuning in for all these other sports, see like
Yeah.
what we could do. And they see Sheffield in person, essentially.
And how um even now, like if you just look at the comments of, if I have like one of my girls benching like 100 kilos, there are young boys that are going to see that, and that is a very disruptive thing for them to see. Now you put them on a world stage, it's going to completely change what a normal person thinks is possible. It's gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna, they can't even fathom it. Like if I go to any gym like LA Fitness or something, and I just like you just start training like a powerlifter starts training there, people are going to ask questions. People are going to be interested in that. And I think that's compelling, and it's just a matter of time before it gets on the right platform. And I think, we're doing a good job of making sure everything is how it needs to be, to get that to happen. And I just think that I just feel very appreciated. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure Junior Worlds would be pretty good. I would go, but it's just like a lot of travel. But Euros is always a big one. Um, and then we'll see how Megan Nets does this year. But it's just one of those things where I think powerlifting's moving in the right direction. I think it was a great time. It was a really cool place to go to. Had a lot of like interesting culture there. It was super convenient the way the hotel was, where like I could train in the hotel, I could eat in the hotel. There were grocery stores like literally less than a block from the hotel. There was a mall across the street. The water was right there. I mean, I
Yeah.
couldn't ask for the
Literally on the
accommodation.
same strip. It was crazy.
Yeah, the drive service was easy. Everybody was on time. It was. I mean, I couldn't. It was honestly like I'm sad that all my boys weren't here to experience it. How about that? I'm sad that like
Mm.
I mean, I got like my whole US crew and like they weren't not all of them were there and uh it'll be cool once everyone's there together, but it was a super fun experience and I mean, it just made me feel like, all right, like Sheffield already made me feel that way. Like, okay, this is it. But this Worlds was like, it's the best world. I mean, you tell me you've been to more worlds than me. Was it the
It's the
best
best.
worlds you've been? Yeah,
We've
yeah,
reached a new pinnacle. We've leveled up
yeah,
on so many levels. It was
yeah.
crazy.
It was. I mean, I got home and I was really tired and I got a little bit sick and all that stuff. I don't know. I heard
Same.
like, yeah, just a little bit, like just like a day was that was really shitty. But I'm like, all right, what's the next one? Like, okay, I want to go back. Like, what are we going? Where are we going next year?
It's going to be Lithuania,
All right, I need to book that like tomorrow. Like, get it out the
right?
way. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, get that done.
Yeah.
If
Well,
they change the
listen.
date, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well,
But
let me so among the people that were watching that wanted to come, and we got a lot of topics to discuss here, but Russell Orhi had tweeted and made it
oh yeah,
known essentially, my God, I should be there with the world's best. I got to be at the world stage. I want to be on the world stage. And he felt it. And he was,
yeah,
and I messaged him, and I'm sure you messaged him. I'm sure a lot of people messaged him.
yeah.
What are you thinking here?
I'm thinking that Russ has a plan and there's like some things that we need to take care of in terms of like paperwork pretty much. Um, but I am very optimistic for him, being there very soon. It's kind of like, you gotta jump through the hoops, you gotta communicate with the right people and then they gotta do their thing and we just want to make sure that Russ is like good to go. And but I mean Russ has a plan. I think he wants to say it himself, so I'll just kind of like leave it like that. He would actually
Mm.
be an interesting person to possibly have on here. I don't know if you have any interest in getting him on, but yeah, that'd be an interesting person.
Dog, of
I
course.
suspect I suspect I mean I suspect a lot of people are gonna want to swap. I just think about Rondell, I think about Keenan and their situations and how we need to, get their paperwork right, or whatever we got to do for them. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot here and you're putting your body on the line. You're competing to be the best. You wanna, you wanna at least, what's crazy is like you said, right? Like look at Delaney and Russ. Russ has the world record total. Delaney does not, but he's still like getting all the benefits of being a world champion and competing at worlds and growing his following and being known worldwide. Um, and he doesn't have the world record total. He's just a champ. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. It's like because you got to do it where you compete. It's like the stage matters, right? The stage matters. The what's at stake, what it means to be a world champion, that matters. If in the UFC, how long was John Jones out? A while, like 3 years, right?
3 years. Yeah.
Does that make all the light heavyweight champions like when he was out like less? No, like they're still light heavyweight champion. Like you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They still got um I remember when Jan Blachowicz, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the heavy hitter. When he won and and what that did for him in his town, in his country, and you see that video of him coming off the plane and like people were just like when he landed in Poland, like everybody was just like so happy to see him and he's like it's different now, and I was telling Carl that I was like it's different now. It's going to be different now. You're going to see how it is, man. Like it's you're a champ. So it yeah, it's just something about being a world champion that and I know Taylor's talked about this. I know Russ has talked about this. You can't really it doesn't leave you. And it's something that you could always share. I know people that in other things they've been world champion at things and they use that to like build a brand around that. They build um sort of identity around that they've been a world champion. That gives them authority, that gives them validity, that gives them, you know, street cred or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Well, Delaney now is doing public speaking and motivational speaking, being a keynote speaker now. And it's when you're a world champion and
there you
when
go.
you tie in whatever you want, people want to bring in. Yes, you're going to have crazy stories. You've flown all over the world, faced contenders from all over the world, and he'll talk about, like Gerrans from Great Britain, or when Inahora came out and gave him the scare of his life, and I was in the back on one knee, being like, "Oh my God, it's going to happen." He'll talk about, like, he's got stories to share, and it's all about how you share it and package it and be like, "Yeah, I got a 20-minute keynote speech."
Funny story in 2013 or 2014, you've heard, this guy named LS McLean.
Of course.
I believe back then, I don't know if he was an open world champion. Was he back then?
So 2017 and 18, back to back. And to your point, he was a reserve. So he didn't win nationals. You're saying earlier, show up, do your best. You can
Yeah.
come, even if you're number two, come on as a reserve and won Worlds in Belarus 2017. The following year came on as a reserve
And won.
again, and he needed like 3 or 4 people to drop out, made the national team, won the freaking world championships again, back to back world champion.
Yeah. So, well, the reason why I bring that up is because I don't know if he did equipped or something, but I remember I was a personal trainer. It had to have been 2013 or 2014 because I was already powerlifting at that time. And one of the guys that I was training knew who he was. And I didn't know LS that much at the time. I just remember this image of him deadlifting sumo. But the thing that they kept saying was like that he was competing at a high level. So I'm not sure what meet that was.
He was at nationals, and this is when he's competing with Lane Norton. Him and Lane were
Yeah,
like rivals for the first little bit. They went to
they let
he went to Worlds before. He didn't win though.
yeah. So I think him going to Worlds, they knew of him from that. So it's just it's it's really honestly it's like back then powerlifting was so different. It was
Oh
so
yeah.
different. It was like this little like obscure thing in the corner, in the shadow of bodybuilding, right? And weightlifting. And to see where we are now, um, I mean, it's incredible. It's just like everything that we're working for. Um, I don't know if you had this vision when you started King of the
Oh
Lifts or if
dude,
you did it out of pure passion. Yeah.
some of it, you hope for the best. I mean, like, wouldn't it be cool if we were on TV? Wouldn't it be cool if we had like all of these different things? But other things have sparked up, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Like, holy smokes. Like, some of you see coming, some of you don't. But you have a vision that we can be bigger, we could do more, we could do better. It just takes so long. It's sort of time flies so quickly.
You
I
know,
don't gotta tell you, but
yeah, dude, I remember I was talking to Tina about 2016, no, 2015 USAPL Nationals. And I said, if you would have told me from that moment, that John would have gone his path, you know, Sean at the time would have gone his path. I would have met this guy named Russ. I would have met, and then I would have done this with him, and then we would have, da 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 da, and then I meet Mikey, and then this happens, and then this and this. Like when I put myself back in that Joey, and I think about to the future now, it's like exceeded where I thought I was gonna be when I was back then. You know what I mean? And
mhm.
it's so great. It's just so insane. Like it's like holy shit, man. Like I don't know. Did you
you
ever think you'd be
you
traveling the world, like commentating on
you
these big stages, blowing up fucking powerlifting?
feel like I remember 2016. Um, I was on a plane and I was like just flying to the US because 2016 was hosting the US, because that's obviously Hack Gibbs.
Yeah.
And I remember the girl I was with at the time messaged me. I'm like, all right, my plane's about to take off. I'll message you when I land. And she messaged me and she's like, Ryan, you're about to become a sports commentator. And then my plane started taking off and it hit me. And I was like, holy shit, I'm a sports commentator. And
Yeah.
that was so wild to me. Little did I know at that time. And now we were just, it was for a live stream that got a fraction of the views that we get
Yeah.
now. Fast forward, and the guy from Eurosport is counting me down 5, 4, and then using his hands and like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
going live and 8 million people live. And it's like, yeah, man, to your point, you see, you think it can get bigger, but you didn't quite know, like, no, dog, you're gonna fly all over the world as a real life broadcast on real
Yeah.
live TV sports
I knew something
commentator.
was there. I knew there was a compelling aspect to the lifting, but I just didn't know that it was gonna pop off like that. It kind of went like it was growing, and then it just went whoop, like it just after Sheffield, it just literally just feels like this. I
Sheffield
feel
was
like
one that,
this, yeah, it feels like this water spout of just pressure, just like pushing us up, and we're just riding it to the top. So it's were you nervous? Were you nervous on the Eurosport, or are you just doing your
you know
thing?
what? So like I've done I did Eurosport last summer as well, but it's
Mhm.
but like it doesn't matter how many times you do it, if I'm honest. You feel I've done so many sessions so many times, but you still do feel something about it. Like you're performing, it's live for hours on end. Everything you say, everything you do, every flub you make, every mistake you make, every high you have is there forever. And so that's on you.
What's
And
great what's gonna be great is like for example, like when the UFC commentates, like we know those commentators, like they're the homies. So we give them like a lot of like respect and leeway. Like if they make a mistake or whatever, it's like, oh, it's it's just DC or John Anik,
yeah.
whatever, just Joe Rogan, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think the audience just start to build a relationship with you, and I believe that is almost like a currency. You know what I mean? And who knows, man? You might be doing other shit, but I'm just saying, like, it's just
Oh,
one of those
dog.
things. Yeah, it's just one of
You
those
will listen.
things where
My
like,
resume, I got a fucking resume now in this, which is
yeah,
weird. Dude, what? I told my friend the other day, I don't know if you watch Seinfeld, but in Seinfeld, when George Costanza is sitting down with Jerry Seinfeld and he's quit his job and he's always
mhm.
quitting his jobs. And he's like, they're trying to think of jobs he could do. And he's like, well, what if I become a sports commentator? I mean, you're always saying I make good comments when we watch the baseball games. And then Jerry's like, yeah, no, you make a lot of good comments, but they usually give that to,
Yeah.
people in broadcast. And he's like, that's unfair. And it was like, the thing is, I'm watching this, I'm thinking about that scene, and I'm like, somehow, some way in life, and I never had any broadcasting background in terms of like that. I've done reality TV, stuff like that, but this is different. Now, if someone was to ask me if I was going to do any kind of commentary, like God, it'd be a dream if it was like MMA or boxing or something. If it was or whatever sport, and they're like, "Well, what kind of broadcasting resume you got?" I'd be like, "I mean, I was broadcast on Eurosport live. I've done like I got a resume
Well, yeah,
somehow, some way."
you could say that you've done it, and I think the more that powerlifting grows itself, that's going to become more significant of a statement for you to say to those people. Like right now, we're coming up, but in a couple years from now, who knows? Dude, I don't know. I just feel like we're on the right path. I just feel like this is and I mean we got to give Gaston his flowers, right? Like he's been working for this for so long. Um and I just remember it being a conversation 10 years ago. And now honestly social media is like really helping a lot. It's getting
Oh
the
yeah,
word out there. It's getting people into it. It's anybody. It's almost like if I want to play basketball, I get a ball, I go to the park. If I want to power lift, I just go. I mean, you start out with just the bar, right? You just go to the gym. It's not a hard thing to do. It's not like, American football, you need like a team. I mean, you could get out there and throw the ball a little bit, run some drills, but it's different. Um, anyone could do it, especially raw, like raw lifting. And I think that's why raw's really taking off. It's like kind of hard to get people into equipped because it's like you need so much help. Um, it's like it's good. I love it. I think it's seeing all those different countries come out there and do their thing. And I mean, there's people like, I mean, I don't know, Fuji, right? And like my guy Funga as well from Taiwan. Like we don't speak English, and we just
yeah.
hanging out, talk like he gets it.
This
He just gets it.
the strength of what's happening now is also for a hot minute when all this social media started blowing up for powerlifting, a lot of it was North American focused, like coming out of North America, all of the social media are like stars. Now that's not the case. And which makes us stronger because we have a bigger spread.
Pena's doing his
Dude,
part. Yeah.
Pena, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? It's nuts, so man. Pena
He's
drops a
popping off.
video and gets like Russell Orhi figures, and it's and like let alone Leah Bavois, Jessica Bittner, like they blow up. Like these stars from other nations now,
The
it's
little
crazy.
the little video they had, I think it was him and Tiff, and they were explaining the squat when the squats were going on like the commercials or the intermission. They were explaining like this is the squat. This is how what we look for depth. And these are the rules of the squat. And then the squats would happen. And then for bench and then for deadlift. And it was like that is so good. That is so good. Like not every UFC does it, but like the ones I think like tomorrow I think they do. In the very beginning of the show, like when you're switching from the prelims to the main card, they'll explain. Maybe they only do it in the prelims. They explain like it's 3 rounds, it's 5 minute rounds, and like each fighter it's scored by significant strikes, whatever this and that, and that's good for the audience at home. And we've just needed that for so long, and it just feels
Yeah.
really cool when this thing that you've been passionate about for so long is getting all this support. It's like okay, well now they really give a shit, and it just made me feel, like I said, I felt important. I felt gratitude. I felt cherished. I felt loved. I felt, like they give a shit. And even after some of my lifters would compete, some of the like IPF like higher ups would come up to me and shake my hand and say, "Amazing job. You've done so well with him. Thank you for being here." Like stuff like that. It's like it's a little thing, but it means a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It just makes me, it makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. And like I said, I wish like in a perfect world, all the feds would be connected and we wouldn't have this like divide. But I think in the next coming years, especially with the effort that Powerlifting America is putting into their production, it's just like unbiased. If you're competing, if you're doing something, if you're on a big stage, we're gonna promote the shit out of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you saw that like little screenshot that they posted of like their growth in the last like I don't know, it might have been 30 days, and it was like a lot. It was like millions of impressions or something, and I was like, that's what we need. But we have all these stars coming up. It's like imagine when we get Russ, and then you have Joy who's popping off, and you have Pena who's popping off. Um, I have another girl who might be coming over. Like there's just like a lot of big names that are bringing their audience, but also the federations are doing their part. Like, well, we can help you get an audience if we grow out. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm.
um, I think if you do good work, like the cream rise to the top, and I think that's what they're doing. And it's just been a really like cool. I mean, you've been there from the beginning, man. You were one of the first people that gave me a shot. You know what I mean? On the platform. And it was like I always remember that. And, over the years we sort of um you just think about how far we've come and how like what would a Gibbs hack have done with this production? Think about, how crazy that would be. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
We,
And I do believe we will get those moments again. Um, but
but
it's yeah.
we're here off the strength of Hack Gibbs. We had to walk
Yes,
before
that
we ran.
that
So
said it that I remember that and it was very life-changing. So it's been there. It's just bigger now. There's more
right.
players, there's more people into it, and it's not a game anymore. It's like becoming a
It,
serious thing.
we have I want for sure we're gonna have people crossing over. And some people even announced it afterwards and they seen it. Like for instance, when Petrie saw the 93s, first off, he gave kudos in his story saying, hats off to Keiko. And he even said, if you guys haven't heard Keiko's story, he plugged King of Lifts. Thank you, Brendan. But he's like, listen to his story. It's an inspirational, heartfelt. He gave his flowers to Keiko essentially, and then obviously he's seen it is inspired and made a post with a picture of Lithuania, and he's like, everybody sees it. Not everybody sees it, but people are seeing it. And to your point, being like, how can I not join this party?
Yeah.
Previously, he was like, if Russ goes, I go. If Russ does this, I do this. But now I think some people are starting to step back a little bit and saying, you know what, kind of like the Delaney situation where maybe I just carve my own path here. If Russ goes good, that's a great showdown. But on the flip side, I see myself in these
Yeah, I think
situations.
Russ, I think he'll eventually move up, and I think that'll be a nice little, a nice little thing. But like, I know Gavin's not gonna just like roll over, you know. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what the Keiko situation is like with the Sheffield. I'm hoping that if he does the Sheffield, um, he's good. You know what I mean? Like he shouldn't have to compete at Nats like right after. That's messed up. You know what I mean? And I know they're talking about that, like positioning nationals in a way where here's the thing, right? If John does Sheffield, say he does like 895 or something, right? 900, whatever. The people that do nationals will be able to see that total. Okay, this is the total to beat. We have to hit within a certain range of it uh to be considered. And, it's a set number. It's very different than when you're doing it live because that person could do strategy, they could change your
mm,
lifts, they could affect you. There's like five other guys coming after you. Um, so I think if that happens and like John's in and then, Petrie and Gavin have to fight, I mean, that'll be cool, right? And then maybe they both go or just one of them goes. I think it would be one in that case. But it's interesting. Um, and I think it's gonna get a lot harder, a lot faster. Like it's gonna be like you got like this little hallway and everybody's gonna try to get through.
right.
Um, and that's why I was just like, I want to take this now while we can and get my people over here now, get that experience now. Um, it's very different. I mean, if you look at like this might be a bad example because um like Taylor has a lot of things going on, but he did 838 at home. And then over there, I mean, obviously it's not at home and he's had injuries in life and things. But that's not an easy total to replicate. Um, but then again, John improved from his Sheffield and it was in a short time. Like it was in not that much time. So it's just, I mean, but granted, there's a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of, we're going to change this. We're going to change that. And we're going to put John, I had to address his mentals. I had to address, uh, his physical like issues that had to be fixed. And it was just like a lot that had to be done in such a short time to get him to do the Sheffield and turn around and do World. Same thing with Mikey. Mikey's kind of like a bull. He'll just do it. Like he'll just say, I'm fucking dying, but I'll just do it. If you look at him and Emil, they need a break. Their totals have just been like a little bit less each time, and they are gonna finally get that break. And I'm thankful for Emil because he gave us a year of great battles, and I'm sure they'll meet again. But like I'm really, really thankful for him. Because while Anatoly was away, uh it made it interesting between them two. Anatoly killed it. I mean, he fucking
How
940 on
about
the world
that,
stage,
man?
like just like absolutely blasted it. It would be cool if he hit, dude, if he does like a 970 at Sheffield. I mean, I think he could do it. I think he's got a lot of room on his bench. I feel like he's just been dealing with the injury. But yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that like I don't know what had to happen to get Petrie to say, okay, now I want to come. When I
I
mean,
think
Sheffield was a
Sheffield
very
started it.
comparing thing, is a very compelling thing, right? But we knew that like we knew that was gonna happen, but it hadn't happened yet. So it was
It's
just like
different when it happens.
yeah, it was just like it's just thing that you hear about, but you just don't know if it's like a thing yet, right? Like if it's like a real thing. But I mean, think about it. If he's that far away of the competition in the U.S., like Go to where there's, I mean, Gustav is not no slouch, you know, Emil is not no slouch, the other Emil. Obviously Gavin's hungry. John is, you know, when I'm there, John's gonna be Mr. Perfect. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be perfect. Like that's it. Like it's not a question. Um, it's very hard judging you. If it's like borderline, you're not getting it. You know what I mean? Like if
Mm.
it's like, I'm not sure, you're probably not getting it. You might get it, but then it could get taken away. Like it's got to be, we have to uphold, you know, especially if it's like a world record, it's got to be clean, man. It's got to be so clean. It's like, it's got to be an undeniable thing because then it will be terrible if we had like a really high world record squat that passed. That would just fucking ruin everything. You know what I mean? You have to maintain the integrity of the sport. And I know it sounds shit, but it's like, I think I'd rather have tough judging than risk like something like that slide. You know, like I don't know. I think it's tough because the way they did it with the five jury, they had five juries and three in the seat. You could get you could get two whites, one red, have two jury agree with you, and then three jury disagree, and then you don't get it. So it's 50-50, right? Literally like eight judges, four of them yes, four of them no. But you didn't get it just because of the way that it works. But I don't know. I think it was I mean anybody, I don't care who it is. I don't care if you're from US coming over. If you come, travel across the world, go to Europe, do worlds, regardless of your result, and I said this to the world team, to the USA team, not just my people, but like everybody. Shout out to Powerlifting America, they're very easy to work with. Um, I said, you guys like good or bad? Obviously, like Brian, Bonica probably didn't have the meets that they wanted to have. Um, but they still did it. They still came over here. They still like had to show up in front of all those people on TV and compete. And it was it was very compelling and it was very tough. And I respect the shit out of that. And I can't knock that. You know, it's not something that I can ever put down. So I respect anybody that wants to do that. I think in the US, I hope we don't have a little bit of, you know, just people kind of getting comfort, collecting their little wins in their nationals. Like, come test yourself. Um, I think it's only going to make you better. We're not getting any younger, right? Some of these guys are not getting any younger, and they may not be here much longer. And I mean, I've seen lifters be on top, world champion. I mean, even on the women's side, right? We'll have like the days of certain world champions, and then the next 2 or 3 years, they're getting like eighth. You know what I'm saying? Like it could change so quick. It could change so quick. So it will be a terrible thing if you just miss your opportunity when it's there. Um, and yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What's crazy if you just look at like the competitive side of it, and I think this is just kind of like because of the way the world's set up. If US as a team is very dominant already, it's been dominant. What's gonna happen when we're all together, right? Like, I mean, realistically, what weight classes is that? It would be like a couple more golds. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about on the women's
It
side.
it'd be. I know what you mean when everyone if more people cross over to USAPL. Yeah, it depends on because only so many people can get through at once. But on the flip side,
Yeah,
Anatoly ran it, but if he's got to go against Ashton or Bob, depends on what
yeah,
weight class Ashton and Bob go. If they go 105,
exactly. Yeah,
but of course it's international judging, travel, time zone. So it does usually, if you're not used to worlds, it'll bring down your
dude,
total a little.
I've seen people hit. I mean, I don't want to like, I don't want to like call anyone out. That was at Worlds, but like, I've seen them hit like something in the gym, easy weight, solid 8.5 RP, probably had a little bit more on top of that. And then they come to Worlds and they're hitting like 20 keys less, 25 keys less. And it's like, what happened there? Like, what's going on there? You know? I don't know
Let me
about
be
you.
clear.
Yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
still think Bob and Ashton would be favorites.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it just makes it more interesting to see it. Let's just see it. It would be phenomenal to see.
Yeah,
I would die, but that's just there's other people
yeah,
as
but
well
it's like,
coming
do
over.
you send one of them 120 and you move the other one?
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, Bob could probably one of them could just go 120.
Yeah,
They could be super light and probably be
I
fine.
honestly think so. Bob said on the podcast he wants to go 120. But the only
Well, yeah,
thing would
just
be if
weigh in at
Bob,
110, weigh in at 110 if he wants, and
yeah, yeah,
weigh in at like, yeah, 109, 108, something, whatever he wants, and then try it like that. Although like what's cool is like he has the buffer, so he could just eat into through the travel. You could eat through the travel. You could stay hydrated through the travel, and it can help reduce some of those negative effects. I mean, for me personally, I don't know why. Well, I know why. It's just like when your body's stressed, you just bloat, right? Like my face is always like super bloated when I'm over there because I can't sleep. And I know Jesus was telling me that happens to him as well, and that can affect his grip, that can affect his lockout, that can affect a lot of stuff. So it's just one of those things where like Keiko got there really early. Um, Delaney not as early as Keiko, but you know if you can adjust, it can really help you, and it's a tough thing. But yeah, I mean another thing too that could be scary for US lifters is like if we're hitting all these big totals at home and we do go over there and we do total way less. I mean
my
that's not a
advice
cool
is
thing,
this.
right?
My advice is this: forget about the numbers, win world titles, and that's the
Yeah,
coolest. Like, because
yeah.
in five
Who
years, your
gives a sh
numbers will
I
be
don't
in 5 years they'll be all be shit compared to future people.
exactly. And this is what I'm saying about Cali, right? I gotta say both names.
I
Is
know.
I don't care what he totaled. I don't care what any of them totaled. He won. It doesn't matter what he totaled. You can compare it to totals here. Just to like, comparing when people compare him to Austin, he's a year younger. And if you look at Austin a year ago, they're like similar. And Carl's like on this upward project. Dude, every meet that we did, and I can speak on this because I coach him. Every meet that we did, like I believe he had to do his nationals, he had to do Euros. Um, I don't know if he did
Junior
junior
worlds.
nationals as
Yeah, he
well.
did.
Yeah, but
Or
each one
no.
that we did was like like his qualifying total going into those meets was far less than what it was. So he like it was like he came out of nowhere each time because it was like he was on this upward trajectory of progress and the meets just so happened to happen and he was just strong enough to like I mean to get here he had to beat some guys in Sweden that were already like favored, you know? So it wasn't just like he was the only one. Like he was just rising to each occasion, each occasion, each occasion. And I think he has, room to continue growing in the weight class. And I think I think it'll be a good I think it'll be a
Let
good like battle, And who knows? I mean, we don't know. Like, is Taylor gonna get healthy? Is he gonna be able to defend it against Austin if he comes over? What's gonna happen with Tim? Carl's still increasing in the meantime. Is Sheffield gonna affect Carl? Quick turnaround to Worlds. Like, there's just so many different factors. It's gonna be interesting.
Okay, so let me tell you something about Cali, or not you, but everybody else.
Yeah.
To your point, when I saw Cali last summer and he won the Junior World Championships, this is just last summer. His total was 717.5. Then it was 731. Then a few months after that, 754. And I remember having conversations with mutual friends of ours being like, got to watch out for Cali. He's putting on 20 to 25 kilos
Hmm.
on the regular, and they're like, settle down. I'm like, I have him in the late 700s. They're like, dude, he just hit 754. And now he just hit 778. So when I tell people in a few months he could be 800 and people like calm down, I'm like, my dude,
No, he can't though.
this is what the pace is though.
He's like
Like
he's
for
on the
him,
yeah
he'll
yeah
be in the
he's
800s by the time this year's over. If he competes again, he'll be in the 800s.
mhm.
Or not, he conceivably 100%, if because we're only halfway through this year. If you tell me he competes in December, November, and you're like the goal is 800, I could be like 100%. I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
because
by
it's
next
all
year, God
about
knows.
yeah, it's all about trajectory. Like what like and I yeah, trajectory. It's like some lifters you got to fight, scratch, claw to get the little extra kilos and you're fighting to stay on the top. The other lifters, the younger lifters are up 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 and then they're going to level off over time. Um if you like let's use Jess and I guess you could use Carlina too and Polish girl. God damn it, my
I
brain.
got to.
Agatha. Agatha Junior, little baby Junior, upward trajectory. Jess and Carlina. Carlina's still pretty new. Jess has been doing this for a minute. You know, Jess has to stay lean. She cuts a lot of weight. Her total's like within that range, you know, like maybe trending up, but like it's in a range. Um, it's hard to like keep it going for a decade. Now I do maybe Sheffield affected Jess. I think with the off season she could put it together, and I still think she. I mean, when you have the big deadlift, anything can happen. You can always catch someone. But Agatha's so young. I mean, what is she like? How old is Agatha? Like
She's 10
20s?
years younger than Carlina.
Oh my
So
God.
that's the difference between number one and number two is 10 years, a decade. So her time is
So her
coming,
time is
but
coming. Yeah, it's like, and she's chilling. She's chilling. She's having fun. She's just kind of, enjoying it. She's moving up. And yeah, I mean, that is something to consider. I think Carl and Austin are both young enough to where they could have like they potentially could have many years of battles. Um, Carl does have that world level experience already. Um, he lifts very clean, and like a lot of the US guys, they have not had to be perfect. For example, some guys they like to take big jumps. If you miss a big jump like that, if you miss a big like like a 30 kilo jump or something, 20 kilo jump, whatever, at a world level meet, I mean that's it. Now I actually think maybe a Bob or Ashton could get away with that, which is crazy. I think if Bob went 120, he could probably definitely get away with it. If he missed, like I don't know if it would matter at all. Like I mean, it would matter a little bit, but um,
what'll
you
help
know,
them
but
is they have their totals are so big they have room to for it to
to
come
like
down
yeah,
and
yeah,
be right.
still be up.
Well, it's we'll have to see it. Like you know,
Yeah, of
especially they
course.
might be going against each other. So it's like
Yeah,
God
yeah,
knows. And again, we don't know where Anatoly hit this 2 kilos less than this total in 2021. And he missed all the progress from 2021 to
yeah.
now. He's just now back to what he used to be
Do you know what
because
he
he
weighed in it?
missed all that. I don't even think he cuts weight at all. I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, so there's room there. I've seen him bench way more than this. I've seen him bench like way, way more than this. So
He's super close grip because he's I don't know what's going
I
on, but
feel
he
like
was
he's got hurt or
super
something.
close.
But I remember when he first went up, he benched like almost 540. I was like, holy shit. So,
I'm gonna pull up
it's
his
if he could get up to like 110 and cut like with a good nutritionist,
yeah,
I
he
mean
weighed in at
shit.
104. He weighed in at 104 and he doesn't cut it. He like legitimately is 104.
Yeah, he's a tank. He's a wall. He's like a brick. Insert random household appliance. But but it will be interesting. I think it's going to be exciting. I really like the direction powerlifting's going. I reliving Carl's deadlift and how before the meet I said, I don't know what kind of Taylor we're going to get, but I think Carl's going to have that last pull and it's going to get crazy. Obviously, we got to watch for Tim. And I remember saying like, you know, if we can't win because Taylor runs away with it, we are in a great position to at least lock in second. And everything kind of played out the way that it was. And as the meet was unraveling, it's like, oh my goodness, we're gonna be able to do this. And then some things happened towards the end of the meet, and I was like, I just remember telling the Swedish head coaches, I said, go for it. Just go for it. Like, I don't
Ha-
care what
It,
it is.
it was so good. Half a kilo separated the entire podium. Half a
I
kilo.
it was like one of those things where like I felt like we had it that day. Like something like powerful just was like, you got it. Like make the right calls. Like it's gonna be yours. And it played out, and it was seeing him explode after making that deadlift. I mean, you could feel the nerves in his hands. You could see it when he was shaking, looking at those lights. Um, it's. I mean, those are the moments you live for, man. Like those are the ones that like shit to get it this young. I was thinking like, all right, his time is gonna come. He's young. If we get it now, that's extra credit because like, holy shit. But I am very glad we got it now. You know what I mean? Like it's It's going to be very interesting to see what Taylor does now. Is he going to call it? Is he going to
He's
get
not
back in
calling it.
there? He's not
He's
calling
getting
it.
back in there. He's not
He's
calling
getting
out.
back in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just see. He's for sure coming back. We'll just it depends on like injuries and he's in his mid 30s and Carl's in his early 20s. Like there's
Over
a
10 years
again
difference. Over
there's a
10 years
over
difference.
it's a
I
two
think it's
gen
11
and
years. Yeah.
for powerlifting that's like 5 generations of powerlifters in
Yeah.
between them. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, they're not
Yeah,
peaking at
man.
the same levels. They're not on the same trajectory to your point earlier about trajectories. But I mean, we'll see because the old
Can,
dog might be
yeah.
like, just give me one more. Not, maybe if me and
Yeah.
Carl go back and forth 5 times, maybe he wins one, I win one, then he wins the next three, but just give me my one. Maybe
And
that's Taylor's like.
I think we might get to a point where it's gonna change between a couple guys. Maybe 1 year where it's like Emil's been world champion, Anatoli's been world champion. Um, it like could bounce between them, and we might get to that point where it's like the NFL. The same team doesn't win every year. The Patriots will get there, but they're not going to win every time. It's like it changes like hands, and uh, that could happen, or we might just see people kind of run away with it. So I think it's good. I think that's what we need. And I'm just excited to see where we are. Like we're gonna look at this in 2028 or 2029, and we're gonna look at this and be like, remember Malta, remember that. And I mean, I- I think about my group, and I'm like, are they all gonna still be here? Do they want to have kids and start a family? Are they broken? Are they just kind of changed priorities? What will I have a new group? I'm already working on the kids for the next generation. It's gonna be interesting, man. Like I think about John, how he came, he did what we did, and then he called it. Jesse was insane, and those guys paved the way. And I did want to say something to Taylor about Taylor. What he did for this weight class cannot be understated. I will forever be thankful for him as a competitor, as a lifter, as an entity in the space. Um, I'm very obviously like Carl's my guy, and we want the same thing, so I want to beat him. But I don't want, and he knows this because I talked to him in person. I do want to give him his flowers and say I appreciate the work that you've done. I'm very thankful for everything that you've brought to this weight class, and just being that guy that he's got one more nationals win than Russ, and he's someone that was like he was just there like one before us, you know what I mean? Um, so it kind of gives us something to like go for, and just like I'm thankful for Gibbs, you need two to tango, and I know for a little bit there was a little conversation of like, oh, is Taylor gonna move up? Is he gonna go against Russ? Whatever, which was spicy, right? But I want Taylor to know I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for what he's done. And the reason why Carl's win is so significant is because of him. You know what I'm saying? It was I mean, he went from like his following like 1 point like doubled, like it went over double. Like it was such an impossible thing. People out in the streets that night is how lit it was. Everybody was just out fucking drunk
Yeah.
doing shit. A random guy coming up to me like, bro, like that was crazy. Like we just assumed Taylor was gonna win. Of course, because he's so dominant. He's been so dominant for so long. So I really want to give him his flowers. Shout out to Ben Escrow, shout out to Jason, you know, and yeah, I respect my competitors that, you know, come out and have to do this, and if we have to compete head up, I mean I'm gonna respect it. So it's like I said, if it's just one guy beating up on people, it's not very it's not the same as when there's people coming for you.
When with respect to what you said, Taylor did for the weight class. It's funny because like we kind of take it for granted now. The 74s are popping, but there was a time I remember, like even early days when I was doing King of Lifts, I'd be posting, and if I posted anybody below the 83s, it would get no traction because they were just too
Mhm.
small. And people wouldn't. And people weren't, our sport wasn't big enough following it for people to know you had to be big, muscular. And 83 was the cutoff. And then the 74s one year, I started popping. I leaned in like a motherfucker. And this was 2019 when the 74s in the US were popping. And then all of a sudden, Taylor emerged as the 74 in 2019, goes to Worlds. So he beats all the guys at Nats. He also beats Shell in 2019 because
Yeah.
Shell had beat him in 17 Worlds. He won 2018 Worlds when Shell wasn't there. They rematched that Worlds because they're 1-1. So he beat his rival at Worlds. He beat the young pups at 2019 USAPL Nats, and it was like he helped popularize. And then obviously 2020, 2021, oh my God, 838.5. He made it. He made everyone be like, man, 74s are like you could be. He was the king of powerlifting was a 74. So he blew up the 74s. And then after that, Pena has done to the 66s what Taylor did to the 74s, where now
he put him on the map.
everybody's like, yeah, everyone's like, can't wait to see. He brings star power. And down the line we go, and we'll see what happens with the 59s. Obviously, Wasser's trying to make a run of it. He'll need some people to step up. There are some people. Ivan Campano from Spain is now over 600 kilos. So anyways, in terms of popularizing weight classes, yeah, to your point, people take for granted now the 74s are popping. Of course, wasn't always the case, man. And now that Taylor, he's left his legacy and left his piece. And now Cali,
He
young
doesn't
guys
have
like
to prove
Cali were like
shit.
50. Right. Taylor doesn't have to prove shit. And now young guy like Cali, who's like over 10 years younger, could be like, hey man, you walk so I can run. I appreciate it. We got more battles to come, but even when you're
Think
gone,
about Izzy beating his nemesis in the UFC. What made that so insane was that it was
you
the
talking
boogeyman.
Pereira?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
boogeyman. It was like you cannot this impossible thing. And he comes all the way to the UFC and he beats Izzy and it's like holy shit, like this guy really is his kryptonite. But then they rematch and he wins and it's great. It's just great. Like if he wins again, I mean they're both nuts, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's good to have that exchange sometimes. Um I don't know, man. I'm just really
Let
happy
me
with the
ask
way
you.
things are
Let me
going.
ask you. Let me ask you a couple questions off the top. Reflecting back at Worlds for the men's and women's each. For the women's, who was the breakout star, and for the men's, who was the breakout star.
The men's breakout star, I mean for sure it's Carl. For sure it's Kelly. For sure. Like, I mean,
And for those listening, you're
I,
gonna find him as Carl, but he goes by Cali. That's why we're flipping back and
yeah,
forth, so
because
you know
he's
who we're talking
Swedish.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That was insane. Let me think. 83s. Tim did good. Ina did good. 93s. Keiko did his thing. He did
They were
what
already
he's supposed to
stars.
do.
To
Yeah,
Keiko's already a
Anatoly.
star.
Yeah, Anatoly was a star. Let me see. I'm just trying to see if I miss anyone. 120s we already knew. Super heavyweights we already knew. Panda was already known. Waskar, I think he might be having. I think that weight class is not as developed yet to the point. Like what you were saying earlier, where we just need more compelling in the lightweight men to get that up
He didn't
there.
have Taylor Atwood in his class,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
but it's coming.
But I
But
think,
yeah,
yeah, I think Cali, man, it has to be that. I mean, that was the most. I mean, in internet numbers wise, like for sure that one.
they
And then
speak, man.
and then um, for the women, okay, there's Natalie. Trying to think who else. Gara, but I mean, it's weird because Gara was like you knew about her, and the IPF people kind of knew about her. Others may have not known about her. So
That's fair.
Natalie,
And
Gara,
you make a good point where Gara won 2019, but that might as well have been 25 years ago because new people are in the
the
sport now.
world changed a lot after that. Yeah.
Right. And
Um,
she went into equipped, and that's a whole nother scene, much
yeah.
smaller scene. You're right that she was always world class, but this might have her star wise, breakthrough star wise. Now she's going to Sheffield. It might go toe
Yeah,
to toe with Leah if they end up in the same weight class. It's a whole nother story.
that would be very spicy.
Brittany in 84 plus, the
Brit
Canadian who won, and that's live on Eurosport, by the way. And that was a sensational
that
battle,
was
and that was
crazy.
live on Eurosport.
We knew of her. I just based on the totals, like we didn't know that she was going to be able to push us like that. We were like, okay,
She put like 30 kilos on her total since Canadian
yeah,
Nationals, and that was her
Bonica is the
PR.
one. Yeah, Bonica's the one to beat. Um, and so it's, I think it's hard because the super heavyweight, like as far as I know, before this year, it was just Bonica in that class, right? Like pretty much she was just the runaway favorite,
100%.
right? So then you get two girls, her and Sonita, come out of nowhere, and they're just like, whoa, that's what I'm saying. Like it could change that quickly. Um,
And to your point too, Brittany had been in the game. She's won 2021 when Bonica wasn't there, but she was around. It's just her development in this year. She won in 2021. She won with a 607.5, Joey. 607.5. She won this Worlds with 693.5.
100
So the
keys on
reason
it.
why when you say like shit, we didn't really see Britt coming. Yeah, but she didn't have any data points to lead you to
What's
believe
interesting, yeah, what's interesting is like we tried to pull for it, and I think Sonita had a little bit more on squat, but we tried to pull for it, and we just couldn't hold it. Like I mean, we locked it out. It was just a little bit hitchy, you know. Like sometimes the bigger lifters, like they have some problems with that clean lockout. Um, so I mean, I knew that if we had to go for a third pull, it would be sketch. And shout out to Brittany, man, and her camp for handling business. But yeah, I think Natalie and Canada, I'm trying to think, Angara, but dang, the biggest ones.
it's tough. Natalie won
It's
best
tough.
lifter if that
Yeah.
sways.
Yeah, I mean to come
Um,
out of nowhere and win best lifter is definitely that's an amazing accomplishment. Amanda was like on that. Like Amanda is like a bully. Amanda will be like, "What record can I take? What formula can I take? Oh, if I pull this, I'm the greatest ever!" Right? Like she'll just because she doesn't. That's how she has to entertain herself, right? She has to like go for things. Um, she just didn't hold that last one, even though she pulled 2.5 more at Sheffield. But so she'll get it. It stings for her, but it's all we got the job done. But yeah, breakout. It's got to be between. I don't know, man. See, I don't know. I'm I'm into powerlifting, so I know Gara, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's crazy. Look at that total. Like, I believe she hit the world record total, correct?
she did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Monster total. Dude, that's Leah Bavla's total. That's just
exactly
not
from the class
anybody's
up.
total.
Yes,
Like Leah Bavla's a monster. For her to take the 63 kilo total. Wow, man.
but yeah. Shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Gara. Shout out to Brittany. It's hard to say. I mean, if Sonita won, I would have said Sonita, but
Sure. For sure.
but yeah, it's the women side is definitely. Oh, also shout to little Jess in the tiny weight class. Um,
Espinal.
she's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
young.
She's
She's
awesome.
really really young. To my she was at the banquet with us, and to my knowledge, her lifts were easy, and her time was coming. She was very nervous. It sounded like, and that's okay. Um, she'll continue to train and get better, and I mean, I don't see. She just fits the weight class really well, and I don't even think she cuts, which is crazy because that weight class is already like really small.
They're little humans, but they're strong as hell.
Yes.
Turbo Tiff is a monster too. And our
Yes.
Canadian Aurélie, and obviously Heather Connor's still there too. Like it's stacked now. 47s is now
It's
stacked,
good.
whereas
It's good.
previously it
Yeah.
wasn't. Previously, to your point about some classes now filling out with talent pool, previously is one person and then everyone else below. Now there's talent in some of these classes, like the 47s, where it's stacked. Um, but all right. So are you gonna split the difference and just say it's between Carola Gara and Natalie Richards? or do you want to give one and then
Well,
say an honorable mention
okay,
to the other?
okay. If we're being like, this is Natalie's first IPF meet, right? Like Worlds.
Worlds, yeah.
Then it has to be her because the other girls were there before, and I
Yeah,
believe you said they had one before. If we're talking breakout, it's gotta be her, in my opinion.
that's fair enough. Okay, how about this question?
Hit me,
What or actually hold on, let's do the men's breakout star before we move on to the next one.
Carl. Carl came out of
Okay, yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. Oh yeah, we already
Came
did
out of
that. Yeah,
nowhere.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, upset win of women's and men's.
Let me just make sure I get this right. If Eno would have got that, it probably would have been that one, but it's got to be Carl again, right? Be
I think
Taylor.
Carl.
I mean, come on,
I
yeah.
think
Like
Carl.
what can I say? Like it's Taylor.
If not Carl, Pena was nominated fourth, and his nominated total was like 687.5, and that was a legit.
Mm.
And the other fellows were 710 and up. Three lifters ahead of him, 710 and up. Three lifters ahead of him
I
had
didn't know that.
nominated totals 20 kilos more than him. And so there's a huge spread. And Pena was like, I'm going to win. And people are like, dude,
The thing is, because he's a champ, that's the thing. Like, if you take away the numbers, which I wonder if regular audience, like people at home, what if they're not paying attention to that much? They just look at the people. But we knew about Pena. But yeah, I mean, upset win. I get. I mean, if you, yeah, Pena. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they didn't think
it
he was
could
gonna
be
win,
like
and he came out of nowhere.
like by the numbers and like what you might look at top end strength, like this guy at this nationals, that guy at that. Even Kasim Sand was holding the IPF world record at 710.5 or 711 or whatever it was. He was at Asian nationals, but it's still a world record IPF total. That's more than Penn has ever done.
I
But
was traveling when Pena went, and when I heard about it, I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? So
that's
yeah,
gonna blow up.
between one of those, I knew like between Carl and him, I mean they're both like very significant. Um it's hard because you beating the GOAT, right? You're beating Taylor, and then you have someone who is like an OG who's like ranked low and battled through adversity and then like came up and like overcame everything and won. It's like I mean they're both very compelling. It's hard for me to pick, but I think it's between those two. Everything else in
Yeah,
the other weight classes, I mean,
mostly
it was
favorites or
pretty
close to
much
favorites.
what we thought was going to happen. Yeah.
The thing with what's beautiful about both those guys wins, what this is going to do for powerlifting in Sweden and in France,
Yeah.
once again blows it up. Like Sweden is a
Yeah.
powerlifting nation and has been, but they need world champions.
Yeah.
Emil Norling lost his title. They weren't getting the wins. They need a win, and they got a
And he's
huge one with
young.
Cali. Good
Yes, and he's
looking
a
kid,
young
well
guy.
spoken.
Yes, yes. So that's what you need. And I think that
Yes.
is going to inspire those young boys that I was with. Those like it was like eight of them and we're in the crowd all Carl's homies. Those guys, I mean they were emotional, man. They were really emotional. Like they were they were so happy for him.
Yeah.
They were
Well, I've
so
seen you
happy for
guys
him.
celebrate. I've never seen a celebration like that before in my life.
All those
You guys
juniors, like,
came
yeah,
through
they
the
were,
barrier. You guys came through
bro.
the barrier, and it was like, oh
Dude, it
my
was weird
lord.
because like the barrier just like disappeared in front of me. I don't even know what happened. I was like,
You
where?
were wearing it as a
Why is
belt
it
at one
open?
point. It was like
I was
you were
like,
like, what? You're like,
why is
am
this
I wearing a
open?
fit? You're like, who put their fanny pack on me?
I
It's a
know,
fucking barrier.
and then
The base is the barrier.
we have a great like video of like Carl's doing a celebration and he comes over to us and he just like tackles me. And
Yeah,
then I like throw him to the boys and he's dead. Like they just get him and then his coach runs over and like pulls him out. So
yeah. That was wild.
it was crazy, man. It was like
It was
I mean they're
emotion.
both
It was
crazy.
raw
They're both
emotion.
yeah, it was like because it's like this for Carl's performance to have his own like his friends emotional. I mean, what more could you? That's it, man. It's like a movie.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, between those two, I'd be comfortable with either answer in terms of
Yeah.
like trying to pick the biggest upset win.
For
It
the
all depends on how you
girls,
slice it. Let's talk about the women's. What upset win?
mm,
For me, okay.
I think Bonica was a big one. because she had
Yeah,
been so dominant.
Brit winning, like Bonika's the GOAT 84 plus. She bombs, and then Sunita's probably the number two. So for Brittany, who coming in, her best total was significantly under that. She came
Yeah,
out of nowhere. She threw in like 25 some odd kilos onto her total to win, and was nominated third. That's probably the biggest upset win, because most people who won, if I think of every other weight class, like Amanda, people knew. 76s, Carlina was probably the favorite. She had the biggest
yeah.
total. She won the showdown, Sheffield. 69 is obviously going to be Leah. 63s was going to be
Gara.
Gara. 57s, we didn't know who was going to win, but they were close.
Yeah,
Natalie and Jad were neck and neck.
yeah,
And then 52s, Evie was going to be the favorite. That's not an upset. And then 47s is Turbo Tiff, and she's the
yeah,
defending champ. So it's got to be Brit. She's probably the only one who was lowest nominated to do it.
yeah. That was the one that like you go from like mega dominant champ for so many years, and then all of a sudden, you bomb out. Like it's just, which to
Crazy.
be fair, I don't know if she had that much more if she would have got that deadlift.
No, she didn't even get
Yeah,
those deads. I mean, if you
yeah.
were talking to Matt Gary, I haven't dropped the episode yet, the recap show. I got Matt Gary and Eric Helms on it, but Matt was saying
You guys already did
her
it?
we recorded it last night. I'm gonna drop it as soon as me and you were done. I'm gonna drop it,
Mhm,
and then yours will be like a day behind.
mhm.
But Matt was saying her top end deadlift is 250, two and a half, 255, around there. They open with 240, and Matt's like, at Worlds, you don't open that close to your top end. Open with that
I
within 10
think it
kilo ish.
was
They
235,
bumped it
and then
up.
they increased it by five. I don't know if they saw something in warm-ups that made them feel good. I'm not sure if it was just like a fake number, and that was always the plan. Um, Amanda was telling me that Bottleneck had hit uh like 260 or 265 in the gym for a double. So maybe that's why, and they were going based on that.
Hmm.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, I always try to make sure that our openers are like you could be dead and still do it. Like it has to be, you can't risk it at Worlds, man. Even if you miss an opener on a technicality, but it's easy, it just fucks with everything. Like now you got to take it again. You do small jump, and
Hmm.
the judges are looking at you, and it's just, it's just one of those things where like can't risk it.
No, that's why so Matt was saying technically it was probably an error, and it happens, whatever it is, what it is. But if she would have opened up around 230 to 235, she would have been too far back to win it, on that day anyways.
Yeah,
Her dead wasn't there. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. It just wasn't going to be there that day. So she wasn't going to catch Sonita and Britt, but she might have been third. She might have been on the podium or in the mix anyway. It's going to feel a lot better than bombing. But this is
yeah,
2020
I would have.
hindsight.
Yeah, I would have preferred her not bomb. Obviously, like she would
Sure.
have too, but like it just sucks when that happens. Like it's just,
She'll be back. Just,
I mean, she does
she'll
equip too, right? So it's probably happened before. It's equip lifting. It's really hard. So
equipped in bombing is the bomb out rates are much higher.
yeah, yeah,
She'll be back. And then not only will she be back, Alexis Jones is coming.
yeah. So that's someone
That
who will. What is her record right now?
she did 701. She's a monster.
Yeah. So
701. Now, Britt did 693.5 IPF Worlds. She flew across the ocean
they're
and
all
did it.
going to be in the
So
seven. They're all going to
they're all
be
going to
in
be
the
seven. They're
sevens.
all
Yeah,
around seven. You let them eat home cooking and stay at home. They're all going to be around seven. Ain't nobody scared. Everyone's a
yeah,
killer.
yeah.
There's
So it's
only
going to
killers in
be,
that room.
that'll be good. That'll be good. Well, does she have to battle Bonica now
At
at
Nats.
nationals?
Yeah. Yeah. That even
And
listen,
that we,
nationals now is going to become a battle zone itself. When everyone comes over
yeah,
from USAPL, Nats will become a battle zone. Like you said earlier, there's a bottleneck, and that bottleneck is called PA Nats, and only the elite of the
yeah,
elite are going to get through.
yeah. I think you go Petrie 93, you go Bob 120, you go Ashton 105, you go obviously Gavin 93. Hopefully John doesn't have to do it. Jillian doesn't have to do it. Russ, I mean, if everything works
That's
out,
the question.
we'll see where we go. But
I thought you were
um,
gonna answer. I thought
is
you were gonna
Taylor
give it.
gonna is Taylor gonna
I think so. I think
battle
he
back?
wants it back. He wants it back. He'll start from
But see,
scratch.
but
We'll
it's crazy
reconvent.
because like for him, for Bonica, I'm trying to think who else. Like you don't just auto go to Worlds. You gotta win and go to Worlds.
Look at
So
Taylor might have to fight with Perk at Nats to get back to Worlds.
yeah,
Like you know how crazy that is just to get another shot at Cali.
that'll be good. That'll be good. To get
We're
another shot at Cali. I like that. I like that.
dude, it's I know it's crazy, but that's the way it is now.
You know,
Cali's the
man,
champ.
Cali gets to
So
have that belt for the year, dude. It's like that's
that's his
good.
for a
That's how
year.
it should be. It's his
And
belt for the year.
so anyways, looking at PA Nats, it's going to be battles all through, man. If PA Nats is going to
This will
be,
be the
if
biggest PA Nets ever, I think.
it's going to like every year because
By far,
relatively
which
new
is not
Fed.
saying much. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's going to get crazier and crazier every year, and it's tough. And this is what we're used to all other years in powerlifting, but it's tough when certain people can't make it to Worlds. You're like, damn it, you're so good, but
Yeah.
you, this is the qualification
Our
process.
country's tough. Our country's tough.
Tough as
Um,
nails.
it's gonna be crazy. So I need to
I got
go ahead, go ahead.
I got more questions for you as well, though.
Really quick, can I use the restroom real
Yeah,
fast? Pause real fast.
yeah.
All right.
Let's do a pause.
I'll be right back. Be right back.
Back from the pee break. How about this one, sir?
Oh shit.
What performance changed, do you think, an era within powerlifting? Like, put it this way. Let me word it this way. Changed how you think we're going to remember this era. So when you think of
Can you give me an
this,
example in regular
yeah,
sports?
um,
Any
yeah,
sport.
because I don't want to burn one of your possible answers. But put it this way: there's athletes that coming into this world's coming into this world championships, you might have viewed somebody a certain way, popular, whatever. But after this world's, you're like, you view them differently. Like this, they leveled up, or their star power leveled up, or something happened where you're like, you know what? This is going to change how they're viewed. Or it could be their weight class. What they did for their weight class, it shook up their weight class and changed how that weight class now looks. Someone who shook things up at Worlds and maybe go into why.
I feel like I'm thinking about Carl and Keiko. Thinking about Carl because he was the young buck. He was nominated, whatever he was nominated, and he, 750, whatever total, and he went against the GOAT and a Tim, and the other guy, Shell,
Yep.
all OGs, and he overcame all of that, and he hit a PR total, hit the world record deadlift, and if you weren't paying attention, came out of nowhere, and he just took down a Titan. I think about Keiko because he had to battle back through that adversity from last year, compete at Sheffield, took second at Sheffield, not easy, and then went against Murders Row and did it again, Mr. Perfect, 27 whites, super hard judging. Like he did it again though. This is his second open title. So between him and Carl, both are super compelling. I mean, those are also, I mean, Anatoly had to battle through a lot to get here, right? To be in this position, all the Ukrainian athletes. Um, but I think when you think about it, like I mean, you could say things about Jesus too being so dominant, you know, and
Is
just
this
kind of
his
running away
era? Do
with
you
it.
think does he now qualify for having an era with
Jesus?
with three
Yeah.
wins in a row? That's
Yes.
I think so too.
It's gonna be his era for many years. Um, I was talking to him about that, how he's young and we just gotta play our cards right, stay healthy. But what's impressive about Keiko is like he's consistently winning, but it's like barely, barely every time, which is like not an easy place to be. I think what Carl did and how tight it was, that's got to be the fact that it's Taylor too. I think now people are going to look at this weight class like it's wide open. I don't think, he didn't blow it up to the point where it's like it's his. Obviously, we're going to try to prove that. But before it was like, oh, Taylor's going to win. And now it's like Taylor's in the mix with XYZ.
Mm.
Um, and who knows, Taylor might reassert himself. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think people are going to look at the 74s different from here going forward, if that answers your question.
Who is the GOAT 47?
Female, right?
Yeah, 47.
Yeah.
It's going to be between Heather Connor and Turbo Tiff. Heather Connor
How many do they
won a
have
lot of
each?
what's
Gold.
let's take a look.
Heather was
See that I
dominant
know
for quite a bit, right?
Turbo's got 3 and she's got a best
Turbo has
lifter
three already?
3
Three
already.
golds?
See what I'm saying? How time flies, man. You people think about like, wow, Turbo's so young, and she is. And she's already collected 3 world titles at
2021,
Sheffield,
2022, 2023.
and
Yeah.
she's the strongest 47 that ever lived. Now Heather's got world titles too, though, man. She's got. I think I can pull it up right now.
How
This is
old is Heather and how old is Tiff?
Heather's early 30s. Tiff is early
Ooh.
20s. But
Yeah, and Jess is young too, super young, 21.
it's tough now. These are conversations where resume wise, previously it had to be Heather, and Heather was Wiley's
Three times gives
47.
you the era, right? The Tiff era, right? If
It
Russ gets
becomes.
another one, he gets the rest there, right?
I mean, it's one of those deals, man. At what point do you start owning an era? And when you're 3 years in a row the world champion, how hard it is to be a world champion. But Heather was. Let's take a look. And for in defense of Heather, she wasn't at 2021. Doesn't I can't you can't take away from Turbo because Turbo would say my total at I think her total at that Worlds was the highest total we'd seen at Worlds because totals usually come down at Worlds. But Heather wasn't there to be able to prove her point. So there's a little bit of a sticky point in 2021 when their eras overlap. But let me get back to Heather's world titles here. She won 2019. She won 2017. She wasn't there 2018.
I think
And
Tiff,
she second 2000. Oh, I thought she had more than 2. Am I wrong
I
here?
think it's Tiff. I think it's Tiff because 70, 40, 47 go. Well, one, that weight class has like not really been super developed, and two, now that it's getting some development for Tiff to just be on top, I think I
Well,
think
this is
she's probably the GOAT right now, but let's see what happens with if Heather can bounce back and if Jess will rise up. But it's gotta be
well,
Tiff,
and
right?
keep this in mind. Tiff won by like 10 kilos and she missed all of her third lifts and still won by like 10 kilos. Like Tiff's got room to spare. It's not like what if you catch
Crazy.
Tiff on the bad what if you got catch Tiff on the bad day? Yo, that was her bad day.
Yeah, that
Tiff
was the
is just
time.
that was the time. That's just how good Tiff is. Now the rest of the field can obviously level up as well and nothing stays stagnant. Um and how about this? At what point another discussion about this. At what point does Jesus bypass Ray as the GOAT? How close are we getting? Are we there already?
Mm.
Listen, he also has three now.
That's
And he's
tough.
he's like young. He's already at three. When I was talking to Matt Gary and Eric Helms, I was like,
What do
Jesus is
they think about
already at
that?
three. They were like, well, we didn't get into the because we're doing a recap show, but we were just mentioning, wow, that was his third already. But in terms of him bypassing Ray, okay, Ray has five world titles. Jesus is two away. However, what Jesus has is like what Turbo Tiff has. Turbo Tiff would say, I got three, but I'm the strongest that ever lived. And Jesus can say, I got three. I'm also the strongest that ever lived, tested or untested, regardless.
It's hard because I don't want to like disrespect those that came before and paved the way.
100%. And they're
Ray was
legends.
always someone who you just saw him as having this like impossibly large total. What he did for the sport is like, you can't compare it to anything. Um, it's
Put it
really,
this
really
way.
tough. I think when does Jesus surpass Ray? Well, if they went head up and he beat him, would he still surpass him?
Put it this way. Put it this way.
I think he may have already surpassed him because all of his totals. Ray's best. Oh man,
It's tough, huh? It's
we need a
tough,
couple
dog.
more. We need a couple more performances. You could say it now. You could say he surpassed him now, but I think a couple more performances, just kind of just regularly hitting Ray's best, which he was only able to do like once, I believe. Um, and that's when you can really just like definitively say he's the best. He's like the
Here's
best ever. Yeah.
here's what he's got in his favor, Jesus. Not only does that three world titles, but that Sheffield performance might be the greatest performance I've ever seen in powerlifting,
Yeah.
period. So when we're talking, it's not just world titles, it's also that performance. Now, if he's got three world titles, two Sheffield performances, and let me see him do at the second Sheffield another step up, I think he doesn't even need another world's title.
Yeah.
He'll continue to add them, but I think he'll already be like, I think people will be like, okay, that's there we are. And
Yeah.
this
I
is
think,
not it, and let me also say Ray is a legend no matter what and came first. Heather is a legend no matter
yes,
what
of
and came first.
course.
And they walk so the others can run after them. And they had to do what they had to do for everyone else to stand on the backs of giants. It's just, eventually resumes are going to continue to grow and grow and grow, and the conversation changes. It is every sport.
Yeah,
At
man.
one point,
It's
at
what we
one
need.
point, freaking Will Chamberlain was the greatest in the NBA, but then Michael Jordan comes around and freaking who knows? I don't know if
Yeah.
Jordan. I don't know basketball. I'm still gonna say Jordan, but
No,
I
you're
couldn't
good.
back it up
Yeah,
with
no,
okay.
no. Like if you said LeBron, there'd be people that were like, yeah, no, Jordan's the GOAT, whatever. Da, da, da. But I think the fun thing about those conversations is like there's no right or wrong answer. It's pretty much up to the fans to decide. And I think the same thing kind of applies here. Um, People count Jordan's significant performance. Like he got to the finals and he won them more than LeBron did. LeBron has longevity over Jordan though, so it's like, but then how do you want to define longevity? You want to talk about brand recognition? Obviously, Jordan's the biggest fucking
I
one of the
mean,
biggest brands ever in the world. So
impact on the game and how
yeah,
like
yeah,
what Jordan did to spread basketball in the '90s when it was still spreading. What he did is like Russ type deal, right? Like
yeah.
I'll way more than Russ. What Russ is doing for us is what
Hey
I
man,
mean, though.
Russ helped make the reason why this is as big as it is. A lot, I feel a lot of it is because Russ really helped with his with his
Yeah,
presence.
yeah, that's what I meant is though. But if I say Jordan and Russ, people are gonna freaking blow up. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying Russ is. I'm saying our version, the powerlifting
Yeah,
version. You know how people go, man. They blow up when you say
yeah.
and run with it.
I hope
But
they experience a world title one day or something, and then they can have a whole new appreciation and understand that they should respect people that have put their bodies on the line to create opportunities for others.
100%. I got a couple more questions.
Yes,
You ready,
sir.
Freddie?
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Pena, the 66s had Charles Apoko, who won two world titles. It had
Hmm.
Sergey Gladkick before him, who won two world titles, right? Sergey won 2015 16. Charles came, won 17 18, or sorry, 17 and, or no, 18 and 19, sorry. But now Pena, Now Pena won 2021, did not in 2022, comes back and wins 2023. What does this do for Pena's historical significance in powerlifting and his impact in France and everything? Is he the most historically relevant 66? Another tough, there's no right and wrong.
I think so. I think so because his story is still being written and he's about to do Sheffield and that's going to do like dummy numbers. Um, that might push him to 1 million followers. Who knows?
Dude, he's leveling up like crazy, but you see what Sheffield did to everyone else. Penn is already a
Yeah,
monster. What is this going to do to Penn?
we got content creators that are French, not even powerlifters. They're like fitness content creators that are doing powerlifting now.
Yeah, because of Pena.
Like
And they
they're,
train
yes,
under Pena. Pena coaches them, collabs with them on social media. It's
yeah,
nuts.
yeah.
And they have like
So it's,
millions of
yeah, between everybody. So uh, I think he is probably one of the most, he is the most significant just by like people impacted, I would say. Yeah, it would be Pena. And I think him being a champion, losing, coming back and getting it, uh, that just adds to his legacy. That adds to his significance as a lifter. That's great for France. Um, he is a huge boon to everything that's going on over there. And I love seeing that. And we need more of that. Like, who's going to be the next big powerlifting content creator out of X country? We got enough in the US. We needed
yeah.
somewhere else,
We need Britain, we
Asia, I
need
feel like
Sweden,
Asia would be huge. If we had
we
someone
need
from Asia,
Asia.
that'd be crazy. Um, so yeah, that's
I
what I
got to
think.
follow up on this, and this will be interesting. I'll tie it into an example with another sport. Let's say Pena wins a third title, but
Nice to go for
caveat,
that.
caveat here. So in the span of 4 years, that'll be 3 world titles. That's a hell of an era. That's an era. That's. However, one of the years he came in fifth, 2022, and let's say he wins that third title once again. It's not as heavy as other people did domestically, but he keeps winning. So it's one of those points in other sports where he's not the flashy guy who's getting all the points, but he's winning the titles. And it's
That's what matters
so
at the end of the day.
that's right. But my question is, will he be the greatest 66 kilo lifter of all time? He's not the strongest of all time per performance, because people say on this
And
given day
the
in that country, but is he the greatest 66 based off a resume, what he's accomplished? It's a tough question.
I want to say, I mean, it's hard because like we're speaking about our time watching the sport. I'm not sure of who came before. I know Charles was pretty significant.
2 world titles. And Charles, before Pena, years before, hit 705.5.
So he
So
was
he was
ahead of the
years
game.
ahead of the game.
Um, I
And
believe he
Glad
was
Kick
going to
was,
be a part of that original Sheffield crew.
yeah.
It was
Was
just
he?
going to be Russ and Amanda originally, and
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
there too. The
He won
first one.
2019, so he would have
I
been.
kind of I kind of feel like it was good that things got delayed, but that's for another podcast. But anyway, yeah, I mean, if Pena wins again, he'll be the most significant, and I think he is the most impactful 66 kg lifter. He's the reason why people watch that class. You know what I mean? Like
Probably.
he's doing great
Yeah.
things, and I had a good time talking to him, and I mean, he's doing collabs with like living memes, dude. He's doing things that like, you know,
He's killing it. He
he's
knows
doing
his
things that we need to have done. So it's yeah, I think he's single-handedly putting that weight. He's putting that weight class on his back. Um, but keep a close eye on Brian Lee. Brian Lee can write his own story, and I think he has an opportunity to bounce back from this. Remember this. I posted a video. As soon as I got the idea, I gave it to my editor guy, and I said, I want you to take this audio of Teddy Atlas, the boxing coach, boxing commentator, and I want you to put it over Keiko. And it was just talking about how, regardless of everything going on in your life, you just need one night, one punch. You knock that guy out, you become world champion, you fix all of it. Nobody gives a shit that Pena didn't make weight. Nobody gives a shit about any of that. He's the champion now. You could fix. You think people care that Leah didn't make weight? You could fix it. You could fix it, man. One, you get that world championship, not that national championship. You get that world championship. I don't know how else to say it. The fucking gravity of it. It just changes the world. It changes reality, man. You fix it. You erase it with that. You know what I'm saying? Keiko winning Sheffield, yeah, it was huge. We love seeing him back on top. We love seeing him get that. And it did feel like he did right a little bit of that. But to get it done at the world stage again, get that title back, it just erases the negativity and the bad from the past. And I think Panda did that. And um it's up to him now to do you know what he totaled?
705. So he's still under what those fellas did domestically at their home nations, and Kasim San did at Asians. But he wins, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Brian does, but I think if Panda can level up a little bit, he can get another one, and then I think at that point he's building he already has, but he could build a very nice legacy for himself as a competitor. He can always transition to a coach and content only, but I know there's nothing like competing. Um, I think about what would it have been like when I competed if after my Arnold, I blow up a 750 squat and right after I get a camera in my face and they're like, how was that? Da 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 this and that, and how amazing that would have felt. But I'm just happy it's happening now. And yeah.
Let me ask you, Jonathan Keiko, what how is he doing in terms of like because he's always in a battle, and I don't know if he's got battle fatigue. I got him scheduled for the podcast, obviously, but
Thursday.
What's that?
Thursday.
Yeah, well, you already know. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got man, your boy's grinding like every damn day.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Appreciate that.
But what are you thinking here? Like Sheffield, he's going to
Nah,
Sheffield.
he's mentally he's good. I we fixed him up after Sheffy and he's happy now. He's gonna have a nice little break. I told him I want to give him a couple weeks off, and he was like, "I think I'm ready to go," which is like a huge fucking 360 from.
Oh,
That was a huge 180, yeah, 180 from after Sheffield, where he's like, "I'm burnt, I'm fatigued, I need a minute." Um, he's ready, man. He's ready. He's fired up. We gotta get that 900. We gotta get that out the way. 9075 is the big one. 9075 is the big one. I think I get excited thinking about it. Look at my hands when I say that. He had more room on bench. He had more room on deadlift. We're gonna get some more work in these heels, and I think he's gonna, you know, 310, 245, 360. I would love for him to blow that up. So he's ready,
do, do,
man. He's ready to go. He's fired up.
do you ever think about because he's only ever competing at the craziest levels,
I know, I
and
know.
sometimes people like blow up local meets just to see where they're at. And last time he did a local meet, he did like 892.5. And that's the biggest total he's ever done. Because and that's what happens at local meets. You ever think about every now and then just be like, I mean, his schedule's already crazy and needs to time off. But does it ever tempt you to be like, John, do you want to blow up a local meet and just dip over 900 for a second here and just see what's up? Like just wet our toes and
Me
or
no, it doesn't cross our mind, but I do know that um trust me, this prep was very intricate. It was a lot of little details, it was a lot of fine tuning, it was a lot of little tweaks, and that's a lot to ask from people. And I felt that. I felt like, man, like, I have a lot of trust with I have a lot of trust with these guys. Like I tell them, hey man, I want you to gain 10 pounds. They're gonna do it. That's a lot to ask. That's like a movie role. Like you're gonna gain 10 pounds for a
Mm.
movie role, you know? Like or I need you to cut weight, or I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And they just blindly do it, and because they know that I'm gonna get them where they need to go, and I take it very seriously, and I know that I'm fucking with people's lives. Like I'm literally controlling their life, and this affects them. So I want to make sure that what we do is it's very delicate. You know, it's very like there's a lot of repercussions from the actions that we take. And my main concern coming into this one was like even if Gavin hit all his lifts full strength this meet, I think John was better this meet, right? And that was what we wanted to correct from the last one. And one thing that is going to come into play is when you're competing against these same guys over and over and over, you cannot just like casually go into the meet and compete. There's going to be little adjustments that you're going to have to make. And I will put, I mean, as experienced of a coach as I am, I put that up against anyone and know like, give us a hard schedule and like, if we're a little bit ahead, we're going to stay ahead because we're going to do things better than others. Granted, if there's injury, I mean, can't do much about that, right? Because now you're stuck in that gauntlet of competition. And I think John, I could just tell by me being at Worlds, he was a completely different John than when I wasn't there. There's some stuff that happened before last World that was like, why, like, I don't understand. Why is he hesitant or second guessing? But when I'm there, it's like, it's different. He's got a different attitude. You know what I mean? I also told him, I want you to go in this meet like you're just having fun. You just got nothing to lose. Fuck it. I lost my title already. Fuck it. Fuck it, man. I'm just gonna have some fun, lift some weights. And I think he operated a lot better than when you're on top, you're on top, you're on top, you're on top. And now that he's already lost once and got it back, he knows what that feels like. He doesn't have to be afraid of that.
Mm.
It's not like before, like, look at a Kamaru Usman. If you win 7 in a row, I mean, it's like you're building this tower and it's getting taller and taller and taller. And when the wind blows, it sways a little bit more and a little bit more. And then when you lose, the whole thing falls down and you start back over from the bottom. And I think now for John, he already knows what it's like to drop that. Because remember, he had to win nationals and the world got locked down, then he had to win nationals again, then he won worlds. So he knows he had to win, 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 and then finally get there. So he knows what that feels like. Um, and I think he's going to be a lot better mentally going forward. I'm not sure how much more I mean, we'll see how things are by Sheffield, but I think after this prep, with the changes that we made, which is why this last Sheffield was very valuable, I think John is going to be much better off from here out than if he had, not dealt with the adversity of the mental burnout of competing again and again. And just, I mean, he told me it hurt him. It stung when I said we won at Sheffield, but we were not stronger. We were not the strongest. We were better powerlifters, but we were not the strongest. And that just fucking fired him up, and we fixed it. So, those are
How is he so consistent and he keeps winning? I mean, it's been years now. He's been the number 193, and of course there was the hiccup at Worlds, but he beat Chance previous to that. Like he's just so dominant in the 93s. Why? How
we
is
try to
this?
control. We just try to control the variables, everything that we can, and we're very like we communicate a lot, and like right now, his girl, and my girl are hanging out, like
Mm.
we're like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's we're just on the same page. Um, it's like that with Russ. It's like that with everybody. Like Jesus, everybody. I'm very thankful that all my people, like they just whatever I want to do, they're ready to do it. So I just kind of like, okay, I know I'm not gonna have to like battle anyone to do anything. So I got to come up with the best plan, and I want him to trust me. And I think when you have the trust and he has the consistency, he's consistent in the gym, he's consistent with his food, he's consistent on the platform. He's consistent with his communication. He's consistent. Everything is consistent. He has a great person next to him, Nina. She helps him with everything. She really believes in him, and that. I mean, when you have that support system, you can create things like this. And I think this is a little bit of a John era. I think one more will just really bury it. But if a Petrie comes over and John wins again, what does that do for John?
It's huge. It's
He's
another
he's
guy. It's
he's
another. I mean, he's already done a lot, but
he's done a
it's just
lot.
an
Exactly. Dude, like, and these are top guys. These are not just like bums. Like, these are all top
yeah.
guys. Like, that weight class is very hard. So, um, like, when Gavin missed the squat, I was like, oh shit, I'm looking at Gustav now. I'm trying to see what Gustav can pull. I'm trying to make sure we don't mess up so Emil can't catch us. And it ended up being Emil that missed a lift. And it's almost like you're playing chicken. How consistent can you be? Who's gonna make the mistake? Who's gonna slip up? And then that big deadlifter is gonna get you. It's like you're
Mhm.
gonna fall down, and then the deadlift is gonna pile on top of you. So it's John's incredible, man. His normal is that, and that's fucking dude. Like 27 white lights at that level, at that meet,
This is why I call
that's
him Mr.
tough.
Perfect. And he was saying, I don't like the name Mr. Perfect because it implies no more growth. You've already reached perfection. But that's not what really, that's taking it out of context. The actual
Hmm.
context is you cannot get more perfect than 27 white
Can't.
lights. And that you can't get more perfect.
That needs to
That is
be the
perfect.
norm. That needs to
That
be the
is the
norm.
definition of perfect. In our sport, 27 white lights at IPF Worlds is the definition of perfect. That's why he's called Mr. Perfect.
Yeah,
And
forget the numbers, just 27 white lights and a world title. That's perfect. That is perfect.
dude, at the IPF World Standard, no less, where everyone knows how tough it is. Try that sometime.
Yeah, that's it.
That doesn't happen in a killer class too. It's not like he's super far ahead and coasting or whatever. Yeah, man, it's pretty nuts. So, is there any other topics you think we should hit, or do you think we hit pretty much everything, sir?
I'm excited for Sheffield. I'm excited to keep developing this team both physically and mentally. I need to get Delaney healthy. I need to get Mikey healthy. Um, I need to keep the rest healthy. Uh, I'm happy with where we're going. I'm happy with where the sport is going. There's a lot of things I need to do behind the scenes to um really just what I feel like right now? I feel like I have an infinity gauntlet, but I'm missing the power gym. And
Which
you
one's
know who
that?
that is. You know who that is. No, I'm trying to
Ah,
get it. I'm trying to get that last gem here, and then we can have full power. We could really blow this thing up. I think it's going, it's happening, but I want him on this train. Um, and I need to just like I'm working on the
can
young
you?
guys who are coming up when these guys want to have families and shit. I'm working on keeping these guys on top. I'm thinking I'm talking to I mean I know you and I are always in the DMs of whoever trying to we got to make this decision, we got to make that decision, we got to work on this. And I think we're on the path to really look at this playground that we're building and just be so happy here. And I think it's just good shit, man. All good shit. This was a very important Worlds for many reasons. Um, I'm excited for the future, and I'm hoping to continue to bring more names to the stage.
Can you imagine Russell Orhi at Sheffield?
That's gonna be so good, man. That's gonna be so good. It's gonna be. He might bring out a crew himself, a camera crew and all that.
Oh,
Like
I'm
he's
sure.
gonna do all that. So he's gonna make it a thing. And what's crazy is he can do that and still perform. Like it doesn't like
Probably
for
better.
nationals they did like a whole setup and production and he didn't bother him. He just doesn't he doesn't get phased, man. He's just like a machine. So we're working on stuff, but I'll let Russ, talk to you guys. But what the hell was I gonna say?
As well
That's
as
all I
World
got.
Games, by the way, as well as World Games, all those
Yeah,
people at World Games is like you see in the opening ceremonies and the whole athlete
insane.
compounds and what it
Insane.
is. When the stars show up at World Games, and obviously Sheffield's going to get bigger by every year. This is going to get every year, Joey. You
Sheffield's
thought
gonna
this
be like a
from
million bucks one day.
listen. 2022 was nice. 2023 was Sheffield in this world was insane. Every year it's getting bigger, man. Every year it's getting crazier. You just strap on, hang on
Just gotta
tight,
keep going. Just gotta, yeah, exactly,
keep
dude. It's getting
going.
crazy. It's getting crazy for me too. I'm just like fucking a lot of being pulled in a lot of different directions, but I love it. I hope you guys are excited about the future of powerlifting, and there should be some more cool announcements about things coming up in the future. So yeah,
And we'll leave it at that. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy ass dude. You got a lot of things going on this weekend, so I appreciate you coming on your time. Let's keep in touch, man. We got some big
of course,
competitions and we'll have you back on. The door is always
yes,
open
sir.
anyway. Shoot me a DM. All right.
Appreciate that.
Until next time, everybody. Six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.